how's the day been? The day then, boys? Like, how you found it so far?
Yeah, it's been good.
It's good.
Good. Came up the road, done a session this morning.
Yeah.
Put you in a hole.
Yeah. I was in a wee dark place. I feel like a wee bitch man today.
To be fair,
No, you did unreal. To be fair, even like the first starting off with M1Ks, and you can tell I was saying to Niall on the way over here, you have got a good running technique.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're comfy in your running. You didn't look like you were in a hole, to be fair, and you were comfortable holding that there. So no, it's good. But as you were saying, it's just all about training with boys that are similar level to you or better that can push you on. That's what we found, isn't it? That's what's probably
absolutely. I think that's my biggest success, is training with people who are either fitter than me or have the same mindset. They want to push themselves to the limit. So I think that's a limiting factor for people. If you train on your own, training solo, you're always fighting with your own mind, aren't you, to either not train or what can I do not to train. So it makes a huge
just
difference.
Take the plunge to train with people that are better than you. Don't be scared, you know what I mean? Give it a go, and then that's where you start, isn't it?
Absolutely. And if as long as you've got the mindset that somebody who's fitter as you, it doesn't make you feel any less, you know what I mean? You need to look up at that, like you were saying, when you're running around and you're maybe slightly behind. You weren't far behind me by any means, but you're looking at that like, right, I want to push on here. And it's, if you look at it from that mindset, then it's a positive thing, you know.
It's hard to do as well, because like a lot of people go very well saying that, but then it's like when you're in that hole, because your brain is telling you, it's coming up with all the compelling arguments to stop, and if you've maybe not get that experience, it can shift immediately to negative, can't it? Massively, so it's like it's that. But see, what I always find is like, I always kind of greasing the wheels off. Like, so see if you go and do something you've not trained for a while, and you go, right, a couple of these and that'll be sweet. And I know for a fact, if I settled into a few sessions we use, the standard would immediately, you would become more settled into it, and you get exposed to that more and more. But yeah, it does, like, it's your environment. Like, I've been talking to our clients a lot about, like, using the example of instances, and I was kind of speaking to you about it earlier, but not actually saying, like, how can you create more opportunities in your week that makes you just think a bit differently? The one thing that stood out from what you have said today, like one specifically for you, mate, was when you were like, I know my paces, but you were like, for 400, for 600, and I was like, cool, I'm familiar with my paces at here, but I need to become more familiar. See, that will give me so much value. And that's what I think sometimes folk are looking for, an entire overhaul. They want to get this magic pill every time, and it's not. It's about creating more instances in your week where you get more exposure to then be like, right, like, how can I be better, or like, how can I think, because nobody's reinventing the wheel, are they?
That's just wee things that is built up over years. Like, that's like couple of years of doing track sessions, you know what I mean, and doing them and being able to not look at your watch to see a pacing and know with your own comfort of your body and how you're feeling to what pace you're running. So like, say you're running 300s and you do 20 of them, you want to run them all within like a 3-second buffer, and that's just all off feel. And then when you do that, then you can know where you are with pacing. So
being intuitive is just pure underrated, isn't it? You can't give someone that, they go, what do you do for this? You're like, you just need to be intuitive. It's like, oh, brilliant. Like,
it is hard initially, because like, you can just, like, example, this morning you done your first one a bit too hot. Everyone's kind of a culprit of that, and you always go out a wee bit too hot. But if you can taper that back and kind of work at the same paces, I think it pays you back dividends in the long run, you know. Yeah,
it does, man. So obviously today, we've been kind of talking back and forward on Instagram quite a lot. Like, how long have we been kind of following each other for? When was the sort of, we obviously met at World Champs, Hyrox World Champs, only briefly. And then it probably wasn't long before that I came across you. I think I seen that you'd done that thing that Graham Halliday set out yourself. And then I came across your page, and I came across yourself, mate, and I met you both at like World Champs. So like, give us a bit of a brief insight to like Always Ready. Like, where did it come from? Like, how long's it been going for? What's the sort of mission and agenda behind it? And kind of tie it into both of your stories. Like, obviously one of you can kind of go first and then tie it into it. But
so I mean, it kind of stemmed from myself and John became training partners, and ultimately we just wanted to put out there some content on what we were doing on our training. Over time, I think that's formed into more of a brand that we're kind of pushing, where we just want to get involved with like-minded people like yourself, where people who are pushing themselves to be better in every aspect of life, not just sport. You know, you're wanting to level up in business, life, sport, anything. It kind of applies to everything. So behind the Always Ready, really, and from a sports perspective, is being able to, like, for me personally, it came from, I was in the gym and I was like going through a stage where you're kind of going through the motions, you're not necessarily got any sort of goal that you're working towards, and I thought I would like to just be able to go out and run 5 mile or go out and cycle 50 miles and not have to think about being able to put any sort of effort into doing it. So that's kind of where it came from for me, where you're kind of always ready. So as in, you've got a specific fitness level that you could just go out and do something without having to kind of work too hard or have a massive block of training to do. That's kind of where it came from for me. And then I met John. John's, he's kind of got a slightly more direct mindset than me, where he was like, right, it's let's go full on. And it's kind of stemmed from there, where we are now, where we're kind of working towards more of a brand. And it's exciting where it's going. You know, we're seeing different aspects of what we can do with it. And it's right now. I don't know if it's going to go towards more like, it's mainly fitness, but it could stem towards a whole range of other things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
We're not being too specific with it, and as Niall said, it all just kind of came from lads training together and just like-minded people that are just all like very, very competitive with each other. And then we're like, what could we create a group here, or could we form something that we can record our training, stuff like that there. And then people have kind of came on board with it and we've opened it right up, really, haven't we, that you can be doing anything. You can't.
I've seen someone wearing your merch.
Aye.
At a gym.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what you want. So we do want people, like any type of sport. We're not like being specific to that. We want people. That's why we're involved with a few boys that are good cyclists and stuff like that there, and we're trying to bring in maybe a cycling side of it as well. So it's just it leads to a lot of different avenues, if you know what I mean. We're not being too specific, and it's all pretty much just natural growth. We're not really pushing too hard at the minute. Yeah, it's all just kind of, we're building just our profile and letting people see what we're doing. Sounding people out like yourself who've been in the game for a long time and a lot of knowledge. Do you know what I mean? Have
you taken a lot away from chatting this morning?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. It's massive.
It's amazing. That's what we said. You've had a lot of things happen throughout your whole coaching career, and it is really interesting with what story you've been on and what's worked for you. You know what I mean? As you said, with the different types of things and stuff. So no, it's very knowledgeable what you've told us.
No, I appreciate it, and you're in a unique position because obviously I know it's like it's not got it's got a direction, but you don't know exactly what it is, and I think there's something good about that because it's pure passion. It's a total passion project, and obviously I know you were talking to me about you potentially want to, whatever that is, coaching. You build the brand so it can become actually more financially like feasible, which is exactly what everyone wants to do. But it's a great thing, but it's like, you don't have that gun to your head pressure right now because you used to, like a pair of entrepreneurs as well. Like, I think that's what really interested me, because I obviously messaged the other week asking, what's the situation? Because I think I'd asked, like, what's always ready? Like, what is it? Yeah, like, what is it?
Send me a picture of your face.
Yeah. Like, what is it? I don't know what. I just see loads of folk in like a shed smashing it. I see it at the track. I get what it is, but what is it? And like, obviously, what's your backgrounds out with that? So like, who's John, who's Niall, outside of Always Ready, outside the training? And what's your sort of backgrounds from like a business owner as a person as well?
So we both have full-time jobs. That's obviously, I'm involved in, we're farmers, so we are in Dumfries. Involved my brother and my dad, and they're involved with the farm, and then I'm in charge. We've got a meat wholesale business. We've got a Lockerbie abattoir, and then Border Meats is our main wholesale meat business. So we supply around about 100 butchers throughout Scotland. And then we've got 3 of our own retail outlets, and then we've branched off. My mum's involved with that, and then my partner Emily as well. So we started a company called Farm to Fork Nutrition. So that was over a year ago now. That's kind of calorie counting meals, while your macros. We're kind of seeing a wee bit of gap in the market there. Just a few kind of meals were lacking in protein, and we thought, look, we are primary processors, and a lot of meal prep companies are buying off people that are maybe like who we're supplying, so we were already 2 steps ahead of them, and we had the whole infrastructure there, the kitchens, stuff like that there. So we've kind of grown into that side of it, but we're always looking to develop as a business, just keep moving forward, bringing out new products. It's like you in the fitness world. You're looking to see what people are wanting, and you're wanting to get there before them. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we're just we're always looking to push forward. So yeah, it's but no, that's kind of day to day. We're definitely not full-time athletes, so probably it would be a good life. But then when we really think about it, if we were to do that, would that then take a bit of the enjoyment away? Because you hit the nail on the head. We're saying this is like a complete passion project. That's all. That's the only reason why we do it, isn't it? It's because we love doing it. You know what I mean? Fitness, the sports, the numbers game. Do you know what I mean? You were talking about watts and stuff earlier on, and times, and it all just starts to, the more and more you talk about it and do it, the more you get tied up in it, and you just love it. So I think it's good the way what we're doing at the minute, and you can take your mind off it with work, and then you can take your mind off work with the whole training thing. So
yeah, you can see how it kind of evolves though, because at the beginning, when anyone starts a business or starts a career, they've kind of get that gun to their head. Yeah. But it's cool when you're in the position where it can be passion. Like even like I was telling you about the retreats that we ran. Like they didn't make us any money this year. They were to get they cost me some money. Do you know what I mean? But it was like, the direction I want to go in with things. These are the things that are going to lay the foundations to get to there. And it's a good position to be in where it's just maturity, isn't it, in business and life. And
well, that's it. It could be an interesting story actually to see what path it does lead, because there is no pressure. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of people are doing it for a living, so they kind of have to. We're by no means needing to push the whole like side of the coaching and stuff like that there, or doing that kind of thing. But there might be a time, like maybe say 5-6 years time, where we're maybe taking a step back from the actual doing the fitness ourselves, and we're like we still have a passion for it, and we've probably gained a serious amount of knowledge over the years. So do we want to then share it with other people? Yeah, you know what I mean. So it could come about quicker rather than later, but I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think like with this, like a really good example where this is very similar, because you don't see it as much in the fitness space, but see podcasting. Look at Chris Williamson, for example, started a podcast. And he has he's got a drinks brand now. He's got all these things, right? It didn't start off like that. He had the reach. Yeah. He had the authority. Then when he had the eyeballs, something came of it. And now that's that's obviously, that makes a lot of money now. And it's it's a business, but it started as I just want to talk about modern wisdom. Do you know what I mean? I want to have conversations with folk. And so it became the passion thing the other way about. So, because that's not something that's going to be monetizing immediately. Do you know what I mean? You need to build a lot of reach on there. What about yourself, mate?
So my background is that I've got a commercial cleaning company. It was my dad that started it about 38 years ago. Just started locally. He basically started off pressure washing, and then went into taking on a commercial contract where he said to himself, if I'm still doing this in a year, I'll kind of want to quit. So he ended up employing somebody, and it's just kind of snowballed from there. He's now in a position where he's kind of wanting to retire. He's taking a bit of a step back. And I came into the business about 10 years ago now. So I kind of run the day-to-day of things. We employ about 110 members of staff, and we've got about 100 contracts kind of across Dumfries and Galloway. We go from Workington all the way up to kind of Newton Stewart area. Yeah. So it's basically just providing the ethos of the business is providing a service to the customer, similar to what you do in the fitness industry, where you're trying to be the best. We want to keep a customer, our longest standing customers, 27 years. So, the idea behind what we do is that we want to keep you for a long time. We don't want you for a year. We want you for 10 years, 20 years, So I ultimately want a customer, a potential, another company to come in, speak to a customer of mine and say, no thanks, we're happy with what we've got. That's the idea behind what we do. It's providing a service that a customer's got no reason to leave. So it's a relatively simple business, but albeit it's a turnkey business that runs really well. We've got some brilliant staff in place, and it's just a constant job though, managing a lot of staff. But I enjoy it. I do enjoy it.
Yeah, no, it's again, that's why I didn't know anything about the background, but I wanted to get to know you more, because you could tell there's a lot of ambition there, a lot of drive and stuff, but you're right, what's the actual story here? But one of the things that we had a chat about, obviously at lunch there, we were kind of talking about you guys building out the brand, and one of the things we were kind of talking, you were saying we were kind of just spitballing, talking about a few different things, but you were talking about you need to showcase more of who you were to obviously who you're going to be. Obviously I know you're not selling coaching right now, and I was kind of saying you guys are the perfect examples of inspirational leaders, but you were saying you have kind of, obviously you aren't selling coaching that right now, but you have ran into some folk being this is amazing, but this is light years ahead. If someone didn't know you, where have you kind of came from to where you're at now in your fitness journeys? Obviously you're performing at a pretty above average level of fitness, almost kind of version into that sort of elite version level of fitness, man, which is really, really impressive. But obviously it's very easy for folk to see that and they go, you've always been that way. But you obviously showed me some pictures. I was where were you 4 years ago? And you were bebbing. So what's your sort of journeys from the last couple of years to where you're at right now?
So me personally, excuse me. So my story is that I was like pretty overweight. I would say I was at one point I was up at about 117 kilo.
Yeah.
That was back in 2015. I went away traveling, met a couple of lads that were just into the gym, and it was like I had to kind of change my mindset a bit, and I lost a fair bit of weight, got down to about 80 kilo, and then kind of got into bodybuilding, enjoyed that for about 4 or 5 years, got into the whole like Josh Bridgman, trained by JP. I was like that's all I cared about was bodybuilding, and then just kind of went through the motions for about another 3 years. You know, you train, you got no direction. That's what I was saying to you before, and then kind of moved into the more hybrid space, which came from I seen Hyrox online before it was big, and I just thought I'm just going to enter that, and I entered it solo.
You were like one of the first ones to actually enter it, weren't you? Because we kind of did it as a group and then you were just like, you entered it, didn't you, solo?
Yeah, I just entered it solo.
When was this?
This was
Glasgow 2023.
Yeah, so
wasn't
it was back in October 22. I seen the competition come up, and I thought that looks quite interesting, so I just entered it. And it gave me a goal to work towards, and you know what it's like when you've got a goal to work towards something. Everything changes. You know, you make decisions based on that thing that you're trying to get to. So, ended up doing Hyrox Glasgow in 2023, and it's just kind of snowballed from there. It's just got more and more and more serious, and that's basically mainly through passion, which is I just enjoy training. You know, really enjoy it. I actually used to race motocross.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Yeah, but in May 2023, I was over in California and just got a bit ahead of myself. Came off the bike, ended up tearing my ACL.
Yeah.
So I just kind of sold the bike and thought I'm just done with this. The injuries were going to be.
Were you having some issues with that today? So
no, that's actually my other knee.
Is it?
So, yeah, but so I've got a torn ACL here, which is like. It's always going to be the same. You can either get surgery or not. I've never actually had anything done to it.
Yeah.
But what I did was I did a fair bit of rehab. Got to a kind of good position with it, and now I'm like I can train with no pain, and I just love the training. So that's where it's kind of came from, a passion with that, and it's one thing's led to another.
Yeah, I think people don't. We were talking about today, like the sort of robustness in your body, what fitness does. Like I speak to clients sometimes, and they'll be talking about they'll have a bad shoulder, and I'm like, you just need to train.
Yeah.
Like you need like you're not strong. Although I have a bad knee and I think I need to get surgery, and I'm like, you don't need surgery. Like that, strengthen it. Like you're not strong enough yet. And we were even saying today, like the last few days, we were kind of talking about efficiency and fitness and what have really progressed this year. And one of the things I've really noticed is I'm a lot more efficient. But even from an actual recovery standpoint, I wake up every day. I was saying recently, I don't know if you can relate to this, I feel like I've been hit by a bus every day. Like I don't it passes this point, fitness starts to leave you feeling energetic, and you get to this point where you push peak performance and you're like, I'm just always sore and tired. Like I'm good, my energy's good, but like the first thing of the day I'm like creaky when I'm getting up.
We had that conversation a few weeks ago where you were saying if we were to step inside each other's body, we'd maybe be like, that doesn't feel right, or this is maybe a potential injury.
Because you normalise things, don't you?
Yeah. Just you have to get used to having niggles here and there that they do come and go. You know, I had a day on Monday there where my lower back was killing me, and you just kind of accept it for what it is, and then the next day you're back to normal.
You sometimes say to me, don't you, have you got no niggles, or how have you got no niggles? But then if he was to come inside my body,
I feel like you've got that farmer work capacity I was talking about. I feel like if I was to go in your body, I'd be like, I need a wheelchair, man. I'd be like, mate, what, is there a knife in your back?
Well, like the past like 6 months, I have started to feel it's maybe getting a wee bit older, but it's maybe it's maybe starting to catch up with me.
But I definitely think, like, going back to that point where you're saying there about the robustness, is like as you get fitter you can tolerate more. Like when I was 17 and I joined the military, I just kneel on my bed and iron at night because I could hardly stand, and I wasn't even doing that much. But because that was that base, and you build up this conditioning over time, and like I think people think their bodies are made of glass sometimes, and and I get it, you can get scared. Like you can, I heard this thing off a mobility coach a while ago, and he's like, for every 20 bad backs that I look at, only one's bad. He's like, it's not a bad back, it's a bad lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then so like someone goes from being immobile, not really training, not really pushing themselves, and then one day they decide to just rotate quickly, and they're like, oh, I literally slipped my disc, and it's like, no wonder.
Yeah.
Because it's been sedentary. Whereas if you put yourself through robustness, intensity all the time. Even just the last 3 days of running for me, like 35k covered, and we're doing that track session a day, and I'm like,
Just shows you, doesn't it?
yeah, it just shows you. And like me at 30, 31 soon, I'm sitting going, I'm more robust and better recovering than what I was when I was 20. It's mad, isn't it? But we were saying that earlier on, like, imagine me getting into this stuff earlier.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd,
It's just with the
now.
training, isn't it? It's like you're just doing more, and then you're recovering better. It's like you have to build up to that, don't you? Really, you can't just do that overnight. That just comes with time and your body getting used to certain movements, and then when you maybe don't do a movement for a while and go back to it, it's like, I've got big DOMs here.
Because I had this point recently where like I really threw my back out a while ago. I think I'd done it like late 2019. I started doing CrossFit.
Right.
And then I was just ripping stupid weights off the floor, like literally. Like I look back at stuff and I'm sitting going, God, man, no wonder my back was sore for ages. But for ages after that, I then locked down, got into Ironman, and I would definitely say there was an imbalance there. And it's not like a bad imbalance in my body, but one that I'd created through my upper body and my lower. And I had a lot of pain in the bike on my below back. And then like essentially I just didn't progress my legs the way they needed to be progressed. And it just got to a point where I was like, I'd convinced myself that I wasn't going to be able to deadlift or back squat again. And I'm now deadlifting and back squatting, and it's been through Hyrox trainings actually built up this like conditioning in my body that's like, I was like, I just wasn't strong. I just wasn't trained enough in those areas because that's the thing, like it's like someone when they haven't ran, and like, they can be quite, like, let's take someone that's a bodybuilder that does like Stairmaster cardio, and they're like in their prime, they're like 25, 30 years old, right? They could go out and run a 10k. Is that a wise idea to do that? No, because their joints, tendons and ligaments are just not used to it. And they'd be able to do it, and I bet they could probably do it in like 50 minutes or something, depending on their weight. They're literally carrying like 70 pounds of muscle, and like maybe not, but like if it's conditioning is everything. You need to like get your body to adapt to stimulus over time, and
adaptation, isn't it?
Adaptation. You need to just expose yourself to that, man. But sorry, I went off on a wee bit of a tangent there.
Right.
So
I have one really interesting thing about that is that, have you seen the science that's coming out about how your brain impacts on like pain and things, and how you. So, for example, you get a niggle, like I've got a niggle in my knee right now, and it's on my mind, like subconsciously, and how much impact that actually has on the problem that you're having.
Yeah.
So somebody was telling me about they had a sore back, and they'd over time healed their back, but the doctor had said that the main problem that was preventing them from progressing was their brain. Like they need to ultimately say to themselves, I'm fine now and I can go ahead and train. What was stopping them from progressing was actually up here, rather than actually your back stopping you from moving forward, you know?
Yeah, well, we've been talking about that a lot today, about how it becomes so much mindset, because people have this belief that when you get fitter, it's going to get easier, and it's like not. It's like the voice is shouting at you like 100 times louder. Yeah, you can carry yourself, you're more efficient, even that you said in the runs, like I'm breathing at my ass, but I'm holding myself well. Like you build up this economy, don't you, with the more you do things, but you're still very uncomfortable. And I think like a lot of folk don't realize that. And if you're not, if you're second guessing yourself, if your belief isn't there, the person that might not even be as fit as you, or might actually have an injury, but because their mindset and their outlook is in a better position. And that's what like races, Hyroxes, like 10k efforts is like, you don't know how the person's going to be on the day. There might be this person that turns up that's just look at Hunter McIntyre. It was just this expectation. It was just like, oh, he's going to smoke everyone, and it was like
nobody would have put any money on him finishing fifth.
No. And he just had a really just didn't have a good race. But
he'd psyched his sell out before the race had even started. He admits that he'd known with overtraining, of course. But what had that, again, coming back to that point that I said before, what had that done to him mentally? He was saying, I knew before it that I wasn't going to get the result that I wanted. So you know, how much of it's hard to actually know how much of an impact that has had on his performance, as in the mental aspect. You know what I mean?
Because if you wake up, we were saying that today, that some of your best performances is when you're a bit blasé about things. You're a bit more chilled. Like
you don't even think about it. You don't think doing it off the cuff, or you go into a gym and you go to do a workout and you're like, geez, I just blew my previous time away there, and it was like, I'm feeling fatigued from yesterday and stuff like that, you know.
See, that you asked me like when we were talking about the strength session after this, you're like, what you lifting on them right now? That was that 4 rep max at the 110, and I was drinking the night before. Like the next day I was literally like, I've just PB'd my bench, like 4 rep max PB, and I was I wasn't pure steaming around, like I literally had like 4 beers or something. But like, it just shows you sometimes, not saying that that's what you need to do, but I think when you're chasing this like peak performance, because there's a big difference between doing something for a challenge. Because I always remember this, my former coach a while ago, he was like, what do you want this to be? And I think a lot of folk don't realise that sometimes. And I had Sean Conway on the podcast a few weeks ago, the guy that done 105 Ironman in 105 days. And he was like, there's different types of endurance. And he started talking about staged endurance, one effort, single effort endurance, speed endurance. And I think a lot like that, what we were saying there about Hunter, like sometimes folk can look at it, they're maybe not as well informed, and they'll just be like, oh, how didn't they do that? And it's like, they weren't just doing it, like I was talking about earlier, they weren't just doing it to do it, they were doing it to hit a certain mark or perform at a certain level. And I think when you're on this like fine line of pushing and hybrid performance, man, that you can walk off the line slightly and it can cook you so easily. And then as you said, if you're not a full-time athlete, you're training like 10 to 15 hours a week, you're working full time. You could go, let's imagine like 3 of your staff are just off 1 week, or 4 folk don't show up, or a massive order blunders, or you do it, and you're just like, oh no, man. Like I was saying the other week, I ran a seminar, and it was a free seminar I ran, and then on the morning 10 folk messaged me to say they weren't coming. And then that day as well, someone actually messaged to say that they weren't coming on the retreat as well. And I was just like, why does this happen? Like, why does it, like, and nobody sees that bit. And that's the bit that like, and everyone gets that. Even if you're a full-time athlete, man, you're still going to have stressors, man. But like, stress is like, I think a lot of folk think stress is just like, the stressful day at work. Like stress is like anything that impacts your adrenal system, your central nervous system. And when you're really pushing like this, like it's very, very easy to overdo it. Like so easy, especially when you're peaking.
Definitely. I think that's a massive part of your training as well. Is I would say that take recovery is the most important thing. You know, if you're not able to recover from a session, you're walking into the next one thinking, I'm dying here, then it's normally a sign. Like you were saying that about yourself, was it 10 days ago or something? That's normally a sign. You listen to your body, you know, and it's to take that rest if it's needed.
We do this framework for guys and girls that come in the program that's called the who, the what and the when. And you're asking someone their worst state and their best state. Then you ask them their best habits and their worst habits. Then you ask them what's an indicator of when they do it. And what you're trying to identify is someone's, for where they're at, how would they know that they're flying too close to the sun? And it's the same in this. It's like, it's easier said than done though. Because when you're doing it and you're in it, you're like, you're sitting there going, nah, it'll be good. I'll be good. I can just get through this. And you're like, no, this isn't. And I suppose it's that part in there. It's like I was saying earlier on the week when I started to feel that gradual decline, and I was training my friend Jordan, and like I felt in a three part workout, like 3 rounds, I felt like a round 3 and round 1. I went, this isn't it right, man. I'm sweating profusely here, man, and like I'm running like not even that fast. So you need to know when to step back. But it's hard because then your mind's going, did you bitch out of that? Did you bitch out of that there? And you're like,
it's a fine line.
Yeah, it's a fine line, isn't it? It's hard, man. So it teaches you. I've learned so much like over the last year about myself, man, that because when you put yourself out there. I heard something recently, it's like if you want to win, you have to lose. Like you have to lose. And because people are so adverse to losing, they never win. But they think they're winning and they're like, nah, I couldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. And it's like, that's your defense in it for like, so that you don't even put yourself out there. So, but yeah, man. And obviously yourself, John, what's your sort of story into fitness? Like I know you were joking about the Bevian thing 4 years ago.
Wasn't that I, but
I'm making you out like you're a borderline alcoholic.
Okay. But I think to be honest, you would go through that stage when you're like 15 up until like probably 21, 22, 23, and then you start and maybe switch like to maybe thinking a bit more about your health and fitness. I think everyone does go through that. I'm not sure if there is a swing nowadays with the younger generation. I don't know, but I started when I was younger, football, and we actually played football together when we were younger. A team called Heston Rovers in Dumfries. That's where I recognised that you when you were doing Glasgow, when you were doing the solo. I was like, I used to play football with that boy actually, and then played again a wee bit higher level, and then I gave up football to play rugby. I played rugby for like 10 years. Played with Dumfries Saints, and then gave that up to. I did a competition, Britain's Fittest Farmer. So I did, and that kind of set me off. I was going to the gym as well. There was 2 or 3 of us lads went to the gym pretty much every day for like 2 years, and then. Just from there, it kind of snowballed and got into Hyrox and just loads of other different competitions. We were doing different stuff all the time, and I just kind of got a way of life, to be fair. And the training just got more and more. I did do a wee bit similar to Niall, the bodybuilding type thing, but I was getting coached off a guy for maybe about 6 months, but it was just to try and get my body fat down, you know what I mean, and get into a better shape. But I always had, he never actually had any endurance or cardio background, so he was just doing that, and I was doing my own thing with the cardio, but I got right down to like 4% body fat, which wasn't actually that good for that type of training, because I was probably gassing out a lot because I never had any reserves in my body, where I'm up now probably about 10% now, which is a lot better, and I'm maintaining that, do you know what I mean? Which nowadays in Hyrox, you're needing that strength side, as we're saying earlier, and you're needing the engine. That's the boys that are doing best. You see them Elite 15 boys, they're big lads, you know what I mean? There's not many wee lads in them, and that there. So yeah, it's just kind of went on from there, and then people around me and friends and different ones have all got into it now and stuff. We've got a great community, don't we, really, boys that are kind of pushing. And
you really do, man. Like, it's impressive to see, because it's like how big's Dumfries?
50,000, I think.
Something
just
like that.
It's quite a populated, densely. Although it's not a lot there. There's it's a densely populated area for that.
There's nothing really much around it. You know what I mean? It's like
my experience at Dumfries was it was like 2019 or something, 2018, and we had like a voucher for a hotel. It was like a Motel 1 or something voucher. And we didn't use it for ages, and then we phoned them and we were like, what's left? And they're like, was this a place? It was like the railway something in Dumfries, and it was like
the Waverley.
It's like this proper. It's been done up now. I think it's been done up. Station Hotel, man, right?
Next to the train station.
Aye, so this woman's, I'm going like that. There's like Hilton's and that and this, and she's like, this is the same standard as that. And we literally turned up, and at the time, Ailey probably wasn't very well at the time. This was before that's a whole other story about you guys don't really know that, but she was quite unwell with it, anorexia, and she got really physically unwell, but that was probably where things were kind of starting to snowball a bit. And she was really stressed with the uni she was doing, and we just got there, and it was so tragic. Like, it was actually, we were so disappointed, and we went in the room, and we opened the door, and it just hit off the bed. It didn't even open right up, and Ailey sat in the bed and just started crying. It was that bad, and she just started crying, and I was like, this is depressing, man. And then they're like, right, you get dinner, and we went down to dinner at night time, and it was just dead, right, absolutely dead, man, in this place. And then I went and sat down, and I was like, it's a set menu. It's like prawn cocktail. It was literally like going back to like 1980, but and we ended up actually going out. We went to a nice place for dinner. Went for a couple of drinks out and stuff, but it was just like, I remember we drove away the next day. We actually got up at like 7 a.m. We were like, I'm never fucking coming back to Dumfries. Yeah, so that was my experience of Dumfries and Galloway, man. Mum and Dad they've got a wee caravan down at Stranraer.
Right.
It's not too far. Then Ailey's parents, they've got one in Castle Douglas. See the wee someone you swim at?
Very popular place over that kind of.
Yeah, they've got one there.
Stuart's area, just for caravan people. They get a lot of holiday makers come even from England and stuff up.
Castle Douglas, a weird wee place in it.
Aye,
it's funny, man.
It's got its own wee place.
It is a lovely area. He's just making
it is not like it's beautiful. It's beautiful, man. Go to Dumfries, but my experience of it was funny, man. But it's good to obviously get to know you a wee bit more and chat about everything as well, man. So what's the sort of ambitions now? Like, obviously, like you were saying, you've done your first Hyrox start of last year, so 18 months of it. You've been kind of getting into this. What's the sort of direction these are kind of going in right now? Like, how? Because I actually was, when I was flying out to Turin earlier on this year to go and I actually wrote down like, how much am I willing to commit to this? Because you have to start playing, like, and I was like, right, 3 years, like, it's like minimal. I need to dedicate to this if I want to be really good at it. Like, what's your sort of ambitions with it?
Well, I think we've got Birmingham Hyrox. We're doing that in 4 weeks' time, and that's what we've been working up to. So that's going to be our marker to see where we're at. Obviously, the whole Elite 15 thing is where you really want to be. Times are getting quicker and quicker on that there, but we think we're pushing on to be up there with them. It's like I think I'm sitting 27th at the minute in the world with Elite 15 ranking. So if there's a few drop downs, I might get a chance at a major, but I really need to go to Birmingham and put down a good time, because I've got a 57 in the pro solo, and I really need to if I can get in about a 58 at Birmingham, that'll put my average 2 times quite high up. So I just need a sniff of that major, and if I can it's a completely different race. If you're going out with 15 other lads and you're racing, it's about managing that race compared to just going out and try to chase a time. So that's kind of the goal that we're looking to get at, I think. And so there's a lot of people going for that. And there's a lot of people that probably haven't done a lot of pro solos
Yeah.
that are going to come out the woodwork now as well, that are going to
Yeah.
push it on. So
I can't remember who it was that was talking about it, but they were basically saying the projections for this year, like, because the standards will just get better, like
Yeah.
sub 60, like open will become
Yeah.
normal,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it will. But even saying that, I seen some of the, these are in different countries, but like the person that came first at like Cape Town Open was like 103, 102.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
You
it's
can,
like,
you can get lucky with it, with
Yeah.
who's there and stuff. But
You
I think for the top boys, your opens, you have to be going sub hour to get on the podium now.
yeah,
And then if you're going sub hour in a pro, you're probably definitely going to be on the podium. You know what I mean? That sub 60 in pro, that's elite stuff. And
Yeah.
if you're competing at these different events, you're going to be doing really well to get to there. But then you never know. And in a year's time, we might be talking like boys. Someone might be like world records 53. You might be talking someone smashed 50 minutes. Do you know what I mean? You might be talking. It's just sport moves on, doesn't it? You see all these world records getting smashed at the Olympics and stuff. It's just going to keep getting better and better.
because there's so many variables in it, and it's like, nah, because obviously like they talk about like I'm not being this person, it's like the Roger Bannister, nobody will break the sub 4 minute mile. Obviously someone said that, then there's like 1,700 people now that have done it. But like when you do this stuff, because of Hyrox, like the nature of it, like you have the day, you have the temperature, you have how well trained and peaked that person is, you have the course, you have, because it's even at the Worlds, did you see the difference in like when you seen the guys did the Elite 15, because they'd done the same track for push and pull, and the next day the track was moving differently,
Yes.
and you're like that could actually, like, and I'm not being one of these folk that's going to, so it can be total stars align where like one person can turn up and just have the race of a lifetime.
Yeah.
And like no, it might be like be unbeaten for like 3 years. Do you know what I mean? Like, because they could literally go and just be like, because like I was saying earlier on, that ignorantly bliss thing that we we're talking about, like I done a race like 2019, wasn't really familiar with times, and I ran like a 40-minute 40-second 10k. And I'm like, that's a really good time for a 10k, and I wasn't even that well trained. Like I was fit. I was fit. Like I've always been fit for years, and but there was no direction to it. There was no peaking. It was just like, yeah, man, just running right now, and then like just had a good race. The stars aligned, and that can really happen, man. Where like obviously to go these sort of times, like you need to be super fucking fit.
I think at the minute, like Hyrox is still everyone's trying to still work it out, and there's a lot of people coaching it, but no one's actually worked it out yet what's needed. You know what I mean? You've seen the different results in the World Championship with the men's Elite 15 and boys that have tried to drop weight or maintain weight, and it's just like nobody actually knows just yet what the correct like body type is for it, what the correct training is, like fully what's needed. You know what I mean? To set, here's what you need to do to be world champion at Hyrox. It's just there's a lot of people playing with different factors at the minute, which is pretty cool because everyone's got their different style of training, and it's just really see who comes out best at the end of the day.
Yeah. Was excited about the Elite 15 doubles coming out.
It's pretty cool.
I think you have got a very, very good chance in that, man. I think you could.
Well, you have to get a ticket for like one of the four. There's 4 chances, I think, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like qualifying chances. So
you've also got the wild card one, don't you?
Yeah.
That's Barcelona, isn't it? I don't know if it's same for the. I'm assuming
that's the solo.
Solo, yeah.
So
do you think you would try and take a stab at that if you could go?
That's what we get. You get, I think, the top 30. We got an email out to say that you can pick 3 locations to do. You get like even if tickets are sold out, you get they'll send you a link and you get to sign up.
So that you can get your time average.
Like everybody in that top 30 has put Barcelona for their last one, because if they've not had a chance at a major or qualified, that's going to be, that Barcelona one's going to be seriously stacked with some talent. But it's just that's the last chance to get in, isn't it? So
it's genuinely a bunch of gladiators now chasing it, isn't it, man?
That's it. But it's no, that double one's that's class. But
it's very good. There's going to be some mad times at that, man.
Yeah, there will be.
Like 45 minutes.
You'll get boys. It's a completely different race to the solo.
Yeah.
So you'll probably get boys that are good runners and stuff, that because you can split the workout, obviously, so you're not needing to be as strong.
Yeah.
You're going to get your boys that are elite runners that are doing really good in that, I think.
Have you got any experience in the mixed doubles?
No, that's one thing. We've podiumed and everything else apart. That's one thing I've never done.
See, when you do that, see how like the guys, like, and then obviously 2 girls go meet each other, 2 guys or singles, right? I love the mix because like, see, when you go and do it, it's a cat and mouse because the difference in weight is mad.
Yeah.
Like, so see, like me and Ailey doing it, I was saying to you guys, like, I do like 85-90% of the stations. There's some that Ailey like literally just doesn't. I done like 98 wall balls.
Yeah.
Like
I'm actually doing a mixed doubles with my wife in March in at Malaga, and she's not decided yet whether she wants because whether she wants it to be a 50-50 race where we just split it,
Enjoy it.
and enjoy it, or I said to her, because she's a pretty decent runner, her runnings really came on,
Yes, came on.
running under 4-minute Ks for over 2K efforts.
Wow, yeah.
I've said to her, like, if you want to push
She
this
do really
to
well.
see, then we could do like the strategy that you've done, where you're using your strengths to your advantage, using your partner's strength with like so the running.
Yeah.
She'll maybe do most of the stations, and you'll be chasing her.
Maybe.
Well, see, my coach John done mixed doubles at Worlds, and he just jumped in with someone. It was someone he met at Anaheim. Should have seen this. They were running 3:35s.
I actually seen that. I seen that recently.
And they came in. I think they came second. I think, and they were running 3:35s.
That was at Worlds, wasn't it?
Yeah, Worlds.
Yeah.
And she was like just sprinting, man. Like actually, like it's. We were talking earlier. Like I don't. It's funny because I had a guy in the podcast the other one this week, and we were talking about when I was in the Air Force. Because I said something about like it's not quite like the Marines, and he said it's still arduous, mate. And I think now folk have, and I've always done this with that, I've always almost spoken it down as if it wasn't as much. And it was only recently that I've been saying this. I found that so hard when I was like 17. And I think people are doing that with like Hyrox now, where they're like, oh, it was only like 63 minutes. And you're like, that's insane.
Yeah.
Like, see, like we were talking about earlier, see to get even under 65 minutes is like ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter if you're doing mixed, open, pro. Like obviously the heavier and harder you go it's going to be, but like even a mixed at under 65 minutes, folk don't realise the pace you need to be moving at that. Like there is no point that you can stop. You can't, and I don't, and folk are now coming in and going, first I think I'll go sub 65, and I'm like no, like I don't, like that's very, very hard. Like that's, and then when they don't get it, they're just beating themselves up, and it's like that's it. Even going sub 70, there's
a lot of tactics involved.
There's a lot of
people think you're doing a Hyrox sub 60 minutes, like that's a short workout, but it's not. See if you're like in the third station and you're redlining with your heart rate, it's game over. It's a long day. But if you can pace it and know all your pacings, it comes down to the same thing at the track. Know what pace you're doing on the ski, the row, what pace you do your burpees, count them out. Like every few seconds, you know what I mean? Your reps, your lunges, your wall balls, what you split them into, what you can do. If you have it all in your head from your training, then it's more tactical, I think, than actually you've got the fitness to back it up, but the tactics that's involved. Same with the doubles, you know what I mean? It's all tactics, really.
Yeah, 100%.
Where you are, that you're not.
Me and Ailey, that for the Worlds actually went, and I used this track thing on my watch, so like I actually changed it, called it Hyrox, so you can set it up and then put it so that you can every time.
Everyone.
And I worked out what we needed to hit it, and then see when we were on the row, and I said like I bonked, I went, I'm not like that was like when I knew we haven't hit them up, but we'd done it in sim. I know that like I worked out like the difference and stuff, but I actually went and worked out, including the rocks times. These are the paces. This is what we need to do, and you can actually do it. But like if you miss it by a margin, you've not done it.
Well, if you're 10-15 seconds slower in your row, then you're gonna have to run your next K at, you know what I mean, knock that off there or gradually. Which is seriously hard to do. So
running like see, and I think as well, even like when you're starting to get so fast, even the difference of 5 to 10 seconds on a kilometre is wild. Yeah. Like it's insane.
That's what we talk about at the track all the time. It's that zone where you're comfy, like 3:30 per K pace, you could run for a long time.
Yeah.
But then if you knock 10 seconds off that, that's a different ball game altogether.
Yeah, totally is, isn't it?
It doesn't feel, you convince yourself that 10 seconds per kilometre is nothing.
Yeah.
When actually it's massive. Like you today you're on a 3:26, I think, is your first one. Whereas you were saying if you'd just taken 6-7 seconds.
Yeah, if I just held 3:35, 3:30, I would have been way more efficient.
I guarantee you on your Hyrox that you're doing in Madrid, if you do that for your first K, you'll finish about 5 to 10 minutes slower than if you take 20 seconds more on that first K.
So me and Ailey, when we done the Worlds, we'd that experience at Glasgow where like I was saying, like after Turin, man, like it blew me up, and then we actually went out probably too easy, like in like it was like, but it ended up making for a great race. But like obviously to go to the top, you need to just be ferocious the entire way, man. But like that,
what's interesting about that is, have you seen James Kelly talk about his coaching and the aspect they took of the race? Even if you watch the Elite 15 at in June just passed, he actually, his race started after the row. He essentially went negative splits. The whole, like, so the first half of the race, he was like, just get through it. and then he just started to really ramp it up, and I think he ended up placing
Third.
Yeah, third, yeah.
On the
Third,
podium,
so
like, it came from nowhere. And just,
it's quite interesting.
It was amazing to watch, wasn't it?
Oh,
it was an unbelievable
unreal.
race.
It's
Some
actually
atmosphere,
pure
wasn't it?
spectacle, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's amazing. So I talk about it in like every podcast. I don't care. I fucking love it. Like, it's amazing.
It's good, like.
Yeah, it's good, but it's that was a hell of an experience. The Worlds, wasn't it, man?
It was unreal.
It's just getting better and better every year.
Yeah.
Now what they say is, like, it was the top 2% last year. With the growth of Hyrox, it's now going to be the top 1%.
Yeah.
So if you qualify for the World Championship next year, you can probably class yourself as an elite athlete. Do you know what I mean? Because there's going to be some serious people.
Yeah, me and Ailey's opportunity is Hong Kong. That's what we were saying. Is
so you
ours.
get there.
That's ours. That's where we're going to take.
So if you're on the start line, like even at the World Championship this year, one of the boys was saying to us, he was looking about at the start line, and he said, "Everyone is a machine here."
See the pace of the track.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. I was like, "Whoa, this is fast."
I was standing at the start line, looking around, thinking, "Oh my god, everybody's in serious shape here. There's not one person that's out of shape."
So imagine if that was there, what's it going to be like at the next one, man? Where do you think the next one will be? I think it'll be the Middle East.
Yeah, I don't know.
We've talked about this, and for Hyrox perspective, we think it needs to be in Europe. Like,
probably
that's where
will
the
be
big
in
market
Europe,
is. But
yeah.
then are they gonna try?
Money's in the Middle East, though, man.
I think it will be in Europe though, because it's a balancing act for them as a business as
You
well.
look at logistics, don't they?
How many people are going to travel
for
there?
people to afford to go? Say if it was in America,
Yeah.
for people to afford to go there, that totally changes the level of competition the people are going, because a lot of people might not be able to go just basically off of finance and whether they can afford it or not. Whereas they're wanting to try and they want to try and bring in the best athletes. So it's a kind of balancing act.
You have to be
between the
like
two.
they have to sum it up, like they have to be fair, don't they? As well, it's been in Europe the past 2 seasons, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So then, do they, like the Americans have came over to that? So then they kind of probably have to have it over there, or you say the Middle East somewhere, like, because there's a major in 2 in Europe, and then 1 in the Middle East, and then 1
Asia.
in
Hong Kong.
So yeah, that's the kind of spacing out, but it's just to make it
released in a
accessible.
couple of days, isn't it?
Yeah.
They just released something yesterday. Did you see that?
I didn't see it, no.
Put something up saying that it's only a couple of days away before they release where it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's exciting, man.
There's a Russian radio on it, so I don't know if it'll be in Russia, maybe.
I imagine.
Imagine
It'll
that.
not be in
It's
Russia.
the baby in Russia.
I know. What about yourself, mate? What's your ambitions then?
So my goal is I just want to qualify for the Worlds, like what John was saying just there.
Yeah.
It's went from, like, so this year I qualified from Berlin, and that was with an open time. I got a podium, came second, and then I just took 58 minutes.
Ooh.
So, no, I was over the moon with that, because back in February I did Manchester and my time was 1:07:34 or something.
Yeah.
So I took like over 8 minutes off my time.
That was a cool setup in Berlin, wasn't it?
Yeah,
unbelievable.
unreal. It was absolutely brilliant. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they used that as a
I reckon
facility,
that's
but
the future of the brand. Really cool, quirky.
definitely.
I think that's they're going to do really cool, quirky
That was
stuff.
such a ballsy move by them, wasn't it? To go
Outside.
and have it there, because it could have been raining and then it would have ruined the whole event.
Yeah.
But it was unbelievable,
worked out
wasn't it?
perfect,
Running around planes and all that. Was it like World War II relics and stuff? Yeah.
It felt like that.
Yeah.
It felt like you're running for your life, put it that way. But no, that's my goal, is just because I qualified for the Worlds this year, you get a little taste for it. And I was like, I actually wasn't even going to go.
You
because I
qualified
only
last minute, didn't you?
I qualified last minute. I had about 2 days to decide whether I'm going to go to France, like 4
Because
weeks
they only
later.
give you that 48-hour window,
Yeah,
don't they? You
yeah.
get that email and you're like,
I know. So I ended up going.
Paid
And,
about 4 times what you should have for his flights, but it's just because it was so last minute.
this was a cool place, wasn't it?
oh, unreal.
Ah, really cool place,
Yeah,
man.
definitely go back there. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the goal. Is just because it's going from 2% of athletes qualifying to 1%. It's essentially becoming double as hard as what it was last year.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Well, double as fit though, man.
double as fit.
That's the way I look at it, man.
They're saying that all the places for Worlds will be automatically given to pro athletes, and then it'll trickle down to open.
Makes sense
It
though,
does make
doesn't it?
sense,
It does
doesn't it?
make sense. It needs to be that way, because it would be like, I try to think of another example. I can't think of one.
Well, example is that I qualified at Berlin Open, and then 5 weeks later I had to go and do the pro weights. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So it makes sense to give it to the
'Cause
pros.
Although it was fat, you could see there was a lot of folk that like as you were saying, like it was a management session.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
How
yeah.
hot was it in there though?
Oh, it was mad, wasn't it?
I think they should offer a world championship for open weight though. I know that they do the one in Vienna this year, the European Championship, which is all open weight. But I think they should, because it's a completely different athlete, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you get boys doing 55, 54 minutes in the open, but then they can't get anywhere near sub 1 hour in the pro weights when they're elite runners. So I think they should. I think they would be open up a whole new, but do they really need to? I suppose maybe not.
It's mad, isn't
Business
it?
is growing
Like an exponential rate, isn't it? It's I love it, because it's like, I started doing, as I said, CrossFit years ago. I was like, this is fucking annoying, man, having to do gymnastics. It's like, I don't want to do overhead squats, man. This is mince. Give me a Metcon. Then someone's actually went, there's a gap here. But I had a client, I had clients do Hyrox in 2020.
Right.
And I went and seen it, and I was like, what's this? Wasn't that interested in it? It's mad, isn't it?
Crazy.
It's
Look at
great.
it now, it's your whole life.
I know, man. It's, I actually went and I was like, that was this big simulation in a gym, and I was like, what's this, man? I was like, I get through it, telling folk to do it, and I wasn't doing it.
Where do you think it'll go? Where do you think Hyrox will end up? Do you think it'll end up in like the Olympics?
I think it will. I think it will be in the Olympics,
I
man.
think it will go.
I think that's why they done that thing with the teams this year.
Yeah.
To show that, you know, they're going to build on that, and then they'll start bringing other wee things.
Other things in.
That show. That's definitely why they did
It makes sense.
They need the volume to peak stuff like this. You need things to be in. I know it was already in demand, but they need proper demand to make things so funneled.
Yeah.
And so, because there's no competition otherwise. Because if you done the relay teams, and then there's just some countries that are just like, what's Hyrox? Like, but now there's this demand, they're going to get the opportunity to be more creative with things as well. How was it doing you obviously represented the Scotland team, how was that?
Yeah, it was good. There was a qualifying stage where it was Graham Halliday was the captain of that, so then he had to pick one more male, so that was hard that there was only one space for a male. So there was I think there was quite a lot of people that kind of put in a time for that. You had to do a 1k run, 1k ski, and then you had, I think, 6 minutes rest, and then a 1k run and 50 deadlifts at 80 kg, and it was just really as quick as you could complete that.
Wow.
And then the quickest time got into the team, obviously.
Yeah.
And then there was 2 other girls. But that was a great experience being on the line. Like, I did the run ski right at the start.
Yeah.
So
I remember that, yeah.
All the top boys were on that start line, and the pace that they set off, I think.
2 hours after doing your doubles as well.
Folk went sub. Did you go sub 3 for the first K?
Yeah, we were all well under that there.
Yeah.
But then I was watching it last night, actually, because I watched that Elite 15 race just last night. Actually. I was like, this was unbelievable. But I watched the doubles after it, and you're there running behind the top boys, Hunter and Ronkovic, and I was thinking to myself, like, that pace was manageable. Okay, I was in a bit of a hole, but we did that doubles probably about 2-3 hours before that, done a 54 in the doubles, and then I was like, imagine if I was fresh there, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, but it was unbelievable experience, and
Yeah.
the whole atmosphere.
It was amazing, wasn't it? It was actually, like, see when you even see it from Manchester, Las Vegas, like that one was like a stadium.
Yeah.
Like, it was like a vibe on it. It was an atmosphere. It was insane.
Especially on the Friday night, what was that like? Sitting
Oh, it
in
was
the
electric,
stadium
man.
and they're running around outside of you.
The tunes on, see what's that AC/DC tune, man? Shoot to kill, shoot to thrill.
Yeah,
That's
that's what Sam Bax, he was saying that his favourite song came on.
Came
that's
on,
why I
that's
ended
what-
up running 3-minute 10Ks or something.
That's why he just took off in one
I
of the
know, he
runs
took
there. It
off.
was like the 6th run.
See when him and
Just like
Rokovic
gaffing.
went in front of thing, I was like,
Hunter.
Oh, it was crazy.
and you seen him in pain, man. Total admiration for Hunter still, man. Like, just absolute athlete,
It'll
man.
be
He
so
had
interesting
one
to
of
see
those-
how it comes back.
Yeah, he had one of those bad days. Didn't he?
Yeah,
Oh,
everyone
for
has and I think it's probably quite good to see that in some folk as well. Not to see folk struggle, but everyone goes through. Like you were saying earlier with me, like, I'm quite honest. Like, I don't think enough folk are honest.
No.
I think a lot of folk just talk shite.
Aye.
They're like, you see folk do these things. Like, I've done a lot of different hard challenges, events and stuff, and like, when I always remember when I done the Keltman vlog, which still gets views to this day. Someone commented on it this morning. It was like a year and a half ago. And everyone goes, it was a really honest review. And you watch all the other ones, it's smoke and mirrors, and folk are like, aye man, it was good. And
That
I'm
happens
like,
every year, the Keltman, doesn't it? So
Yeah,
then
yeah.
people are going in looking for this, and you've done a great overview on the whole thing and what happens and what you did before it. So that's the kind of content that people are looking for, isn't it? really?
yeah, because it's everyday people, man, because it makes it seem so out of reach, doesn't it,
Yeah,
man?
yeah.
But like, it's really not. Like, I think we were saying it earlier on as well, people don't realise that, like, if you commit to something and actually commit to it, you can be
Yeah,
one of the best at it.
definitely.
Like-
I was thinking that earlier on. I was thinking if you really commit and want something
Yeah.
for like that there, you can put everything into it. It happens, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's just all about doing it.
Yeah.
Just getting it done
Got
and
to do
getting
it,
on
yeah.
with
There's
it.
no secrets to it, is there? You've just got to do the work.
Aye.
And
Yeah.
it will pay you back. But
Yeah.
it's impressive what anyone's capable of if they really put effort into something.
Yeah.
You know, like you try to build your brand. It's like what you were saying before. It's pretty impressive, and like where you're heading with it is like you're going all in, like you were saying, and it just shows that when you do that, how much of an impact that can have, you know.
Yeah, people pussyfoot around it, man, and they say they're going all in, and
Yeah.
then maybe like 1 week they're 80%, 1 week they're 100, then they're 20, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You can't. You need to just embrace it, and you need to like go through. I always look at when I go into a new block of training, and I'm like, I wonder what week's going to be awful, because you're going to get that full week that's going to be awful. You're going to question everything. I'm like, wonder what week of this is going to be.
You just need to chip through it, though.
You just chip through it. You need to focus it one day at a time. Would you say that your businesses have definitely helped that mindset?
I would think so, definitely. There's been a lot of, it's dealing with a lot of stuff in business has definitely helped, probably us both, is like dealing with things and, you know, moving forward. Because like in business, we get problems every day, you know, and there's not a day goes past where it's plain sailing and you're like, oh, this is easy. So you're having to deal with stuff. So then like in the gym or that, I think it's just a case of get on with it, you know what I mean? Get in, get your head down and just get the job done.
Yeah, that's the easy part. The training's the easy part.
Yeah.
The working bit, the stressful part of work is the difficult part when, you know, you've got 4 or 5 people off all at the same time, and you've got to, at the end of the day, you just have to deal with it, and life goes on. So you know, the quicker that you can learn that and just realize that this is just the way it is. Yeah. And you've got to overcome these problems, and you know, the things like the gym become that's easy. That's a choice. You know. Yeah.
We were having this. I was having this conversation with someone recently where like people go, oh, I do hard things all the time, and it's like if you love training, it doesn't become like the hard thing you need to do all the time. The hard thing's the boring thing you're usually putting off. Yeah. It's the little monotonous thing that you're actually, the attention to detail. It's the actually spending a bit of time properly warming up. Yeah. It's not just the cool sexy part, or actually like going into detail with your notes. Yeah. Actually starting to set like higher, like taking the time to actually go and set your goals. Like that's something that we say to clients all the time, is we'll talk about vision and we'll talk about goals. There's a few folk recently I've been talking to, and I'm like, this is like the 4th week, man, where we're asking like, have you done that yet? And they're like, no. And I'm like, that's 4 weeks that you could have taken, but it's because folk feel uncomfortable writing down because they struggle to think and they struggle to take the time, and it's like that's where the success lies, man. It's they're actually not getting a sense of achievement, achieving them goals, really, are they? Then if they're not, but it's just we fine margins with things that if you do them, they all play a big part in becoming, you know, advanced really at what you do. Yeah, there's a lot.
I think the main thing for me personally is that you have to love the process of it. If you don't enjoy it, you know, if you're doing a training block that every single session you just do not like, you will not progress as much as you would as if it was like a passion, you know, something that you enjoy. And that's where the hybrid training came in, and I'm sure you probably agree that change in training, you found that love again for you know, did you do bodybuilding for a few years? Done, yeah. So like conventional sort of bodybuilding training, like working a split, like push pull legs, done that for years, And I was the same, and you get to a stagnant point where I didn't really enjoy it. I was just doing it for the sake of doing it. That's just the same. So that change was like,
whereas now we are coming into the gym and just like working out together and just pushing each other, and then just like
excited to train, you know,
more or less just bullying each other every night to say, there's no limits though. Is that all you've got?
Yeah, there's no limits though. That's the thing. It's like you take I know there's like, if you are into bodybuilding, there's no limits to what you can do. Look at Ronnie Coleman, look at Dorian Yates, there is no limits. But for most folk, like I think because it's so multi-dimensional and there's so many assets, we were talking about power earlier on, and I was talking about the realizations I've had with like something that's so obvious to me now that it wasn't obvious to me previously. And learning how to manage my power, learning how to regulate my body composition and my strength, and learning how to build endurance on top of that. And I think that's when you do this hybrid style training, the joke is, what is it like, do everything, be all right yet? Well, obviously you start to build up on an advanced level the more you do things, and your strength is way above average, your fitness is way above average, but you need to go through that point. But sometimes it's easy to get caught up in numbers and be like, oh, I previously done this. It's like, yeah, but you previously didn't look like how you look now. You previously didn't have the relationship you have with food now. You previously weren't as strong as what you are now. You previously weren't as fucking energetic. I know I'm saying I'm low energy in the morning, man, but that's like 5 minutes. I'm sweet after that, man. But it takes a while to build awareness up, and you need to suck quite a lot of things to find the magic spot, don't you? To go, right, this is the bit that I need to be in. And that's I think now a lot of folk want the answer yesterday, and then they throw it in before then. Like I've got this, I always say to folk about frustration. I'm like, frustration's the best teacher ever. And it's folk try and change direction too much when they're frustrated. And it's like, persevere. Even if you're doing it wrong and you're persevering, you will get to a point where you bang your head against the wall so many times that you will figure it out. And people want that answer. And it's like, I had someone recently, and they basically messaged me a question, and really, really nice guy. I won't name any names of that. they asked me a question. They've done it a few times, but just the way that they messaged me was quite abrupt. It was just kind of like, hey, how'd you do this? I was like, number one, like, what happened to like respect, man? Like, see, if I would never have done that to someone that like I pure admired and looked up to. And it's just that, and they then asked me this thing, and the answer wasn't just do this. The answer is, yeah, I've been doing this for a lot of years, and I've made a lot of mistakes, and as a result, that's how I'm able to do that. Yeah. It's not just, here's the training plan, or here's the, it's, people want that answer, that how can you give me that polished up? It's like, go and make a lot of mistakes, go and fall on your face, but commit to it for the next few years at least. Stop doing it for a few weeks. Yeah. Because when you do that, you just check out, man.
The most frustrating part of you giving them that answer is that is what most people do not want to hear. They want to hear the secret recipe, like what are you doing that nobody else knows to get that result, when in actual fact it's so simple. You just got to be consistent, turn up every day, and it will eventually get where you want to be, you know.
Ailey will say that to me sometimes, because Ailey's been coaching for 2.5 years now, and she'll, how do you know how to say that? Like, see, when I just respond to someone, she's like, how did you know what to say there? And I'm like, I don't know, just knew what to say. It's the same with training, innit? You start to go, nah, I don't need to do that today, I can pull back. Like, something I heard Hunter say is like, I don't get paid to train, I get paid to win. And it's like, but basically if he goes out, and we were talking about overreaching in a track session, and he'll just go, nah, I'm not doing that right now. Like, I'm just going to stop at 8. There's maybe 10.
Absolutely terrible at that.
Yeah, same. I am absolutely. But that's us finding the sweet spot. Yeah, I mean, we've not earned the right to do that yet. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so you need to earn the right to do that, man. So, but there is times you're being an absolute idiot, aren't you, man? And you're like, I probably shouldn't be here.
Done that a few times. Like,
do that every week, man.
I've said that as well. Like, if a body's muscles are actually starting to hurt, we just stop. You know what I mean?
We actually had a session before, about the week before Worlds, and it was myself, John, and a boy called Ryan, and all three of us were going to World Championships. And we done this session, and you could just tell that every single one of us just didn't want to be there. But our egos were just far too big to be like, boys, geez, what, just call it a day and just like sack this session off, and we'll just
get a coffee,
go and get a coffee and chill out. And all of us are just slogging through this session. It was hellish, but you learn, don't you?
You have to flick the switch sometimes. You go, is this about the bot? Like I was saying about that ultra I done a few months ago, when I just wasn't. I got ill after the Worlds, and then like I just wasn't right. And we went out and it set off good, but I kind of knew the training block had been terrible, and I was like, heart rate had been high. I think I just sat in every zone 2 runs were 170s. Like, I just couldn't get my heart rate down. And I just went out, and I got to 20k and I rolled my ankle, and it was the perfect opportunity to let go, chill out. And I just went like this, man, in my head. I went, this is no longer about physical performance. This is about you actually proving to yourself. And I remember I'd done it and I finished, and I was like, you were saying you watched the vlog, and I was pure elated after it. I was like, I needed that. Yeah. I needed to go through a bit of hell and just like drag myself through a hedge backwards
so that you could do it.
So that I could do it. Because you need to prove to yourself sometimes. And workouts, I love when I flick that switch sometimes, and I went, this workout's no longer about peak performance. This is about getting grit, total grit. And I think that's the bit that it's so easy now to get caught up in data and look at things. And it's funny, even when you have this awareness that I have right now. And even at that session the other day where I said, like, I went out and something wasn't right, and I stopped, and even though I knew it was a good reason to do that, I still was pure going, nah, you should have gritted through it. And I'm like, but what would I have done?
Like, I've got that. I can't do that. I couldn't say if we did that track session today, and like I was something sore, or I was starting to hurt, or I was getting
the farmer work capacity, mate.
I couldn't have stopped. I just feel like you can't do that. You shouldn't do that. But then at the end of the day, what are you actually, if you're in a pain cave, what are you going to benefit? Probably making yourself worse, isn't it? So. Well,
that's what, see, I don't know if you've seen the sort of philosophy we have in our programme called do what you said you would do. You heard people saying that, and so I'll talk about it regularly. It was when like I went and done the Keltman, and it was like, I knew that was going to be a level up. I knew it was going to require a lot of sessions I didn't want to do. And it was like, it's
the hardest Ironman. What is
it? In the UK. Yeah. And in Scotland, I think there's like double brutal, but like obviously that's iron distance, but like the hardest Ironman.
Regardless.
Yeah, and I remember I went like that. I need to do something here that's like an instance that I need to do every day, and like everyone was getting Lumis, and I was like, I'm going to get a Lumi, but I'm just going to do it every day, like regardless, because it was like, if I do that first thing in the day, then that's something that I really don't want to do.
That's what you were saying, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was like. I remember going to swims, and have you done much swimming or that, or
a wee bit?
Yeah, like I hate swimming. Like I've never like, see when folk go, I enjoyed it. I'm like, it's rubbish.
Yeah, how can you enjoy that?
How can you enjoy that? Like, I'm sure if I've done, I think I've counted all together. I've done like, I seen on your Strava how many I've done. It's like 100 and 130 swims or something I've done, which I feel like I've actually dedicated.
Quite a lot, actually.
It's quite a lot. Like I've actually dedicated like quite a lot of swims.
Open water or just in
pool, and probably like 80% pool, 20% open water. Maybe like less than that, probably more pool, probably 90. But going and doing a pool session, right? See, when you go out a run and you just settle that, I don't, because we're built for running more, aren't we? Like, well, obviously you guys cycle quite a lot as well, but because that's not my natural space, being in the water, like I feel very uncomfortable. So for me, that doing what you said you would do was for the swimming, because I'm going to talk myself out of that, and I didn't miss a single swim the entire block, and I just did, and I went like that. I went, if I want to actually be good, and I swam on the day and swam my best swim. Yeah,
no, that's a big thing. I think that's where we've everything we've said or we're gonna do, or you just do it. Do you know what I mean? It's just if you get it done, and that's the plan that we've got in place, isn't it? Like if the program's there, just do it, and that's just in. If it doesn't work out, then you know that's not the way to go. If it does, then you know, boom.
The last thing you want is on like the event day, race day, whatever it is you're doing, and you crack in that wee point that you skipped. And you know you skipped, that you really like you made an excuse for. Like you had a sore leg there, that will haunt you. It will fucking
haunt. We were talking about that last week.
Will haunt you.
Like in a major competition, if you have that in your mind and then you pull, you know what I mean, or you pull out, and it's a thing that you've been working up to. Maybe it happens only once a year. You know, that's a hard place to come back from, isn't it? Really,
definitely.
Especially if you've let yourself do that in training. That's why it's just.
We were saying that last week. Like I don't know how people do a session, and they'll say 10 down ups or what as an example, how people cheat. Like you're literally cheating yourself.
That was drilled into me in the military, man. It was like they used to be like, do not cheat.
But
they were just like, don't do
it. Like to me, like from the way my mind works, I couldn't cheat because I'm literally cheating myself.
Because you would know.
Who am I cheating like for? For somebody else, you know. So the same with your training plan, like, and I think that when it comes to the day, like our training plan right now is pretty relentless. Like it's constant all the time, and but if you just keep showing up, then I think that come the day you'll feel like you'll reap the rewards if you go through it. You know, like you're saying, if you had a session where you just kind of like half-ass it and you don't really push yourself, then that will come back to haunt you later down the line. You know. Yeah.
It's hard, man, because when you're in it, you're like, it's not nice. It's not a nice thing, is it? It's like, I remember my first Ironman prep, I cried in a cycle. I actually was cycling like, what am I doing? Like I was just like, I've got like 3 hours left this, man. I've been in the saddle for like 3 hours and I'm so lonely. like what am I doing? It wasn't like a pure whimper, but it was just like, what am I doing? Like one of our clients, Travis, that done the Ironman recently, he did the same. He did a 100-mile cycle into like a run, and he was just like, there was 80 into like a 90-minute run, and he was just in the bike, and he was just like, just says he had a tear come down his eye. It's like
us this weekend, we're doing a duathlon. So.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's the one you said about me doing. I was last on my bike. I did. Yeah, I'm doing it. I feel like I've got a fair trade. I'm doing a pro sim. I'll be in a place of hell, man, on Sunday.
You will be.
Definitely. Yeah, it'll be good. I seen you've been doing replicating some of Big Nick Bear's workouts. What do you think? What do you make of that guy, man?
We've been trying to suss him out a bit. Like, there'll be a lot of noise about him. Serious runner.
Oh yeah,
unbelievable runner. But then, is he going to have the engine to then bring stations of Hyrox? Is he going to be able to move the stuff as quick? It's going to be interesting. I think he's going to be good. He's definitely going to be about it.
He's going to be up there with the top boys.
He's got all he's ticked every single box, but I think you need to get that exposure, don't you, man? I was joking saying he's like the perfect human, isn't he? Like Christian.
He looks like he puts like he doesn't put any sauce in his food. He's got like clean food, and I'm like, there's no way he's living his life like that all the time.
He does. He probably is. Yeah.
Like you say, he's a perfect human.
Yeah, he literally exists.
He's up at 4 a.m.
Maybe he's just AI. Maybe like we're not going to see him at World Champs because he doesn't even exist, and this full thing is just manufactured, man.
And I do think he'll be seriously impressive. Like again, it's just that it comes down to he puts in the work.
Oh, guy, doesn't miss, man.
Like nobody actually knows apart from him in his head. Like, is he going to be like good, or you know what I mean? It might come out the woodwork and just blow everyone away and be like, you know, which he's done for the size of him. Some of his running times have been
sub 2:45 marathon.
Crazy at that weight, isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely crazy.
It's actually insane, and then just like beasting out some heavy weight. Like
said that they're doing that new development at his gym, and they're like before, like he's only really got into Hyrox like a couple of months. And before, like, this new gym was going to be, but then like 1/3 of it now they're promoting just going to be for Hyrox. It just shows you, doesn't it, how
Crazy
much
how
he's
a very intelligent guy as well, isn't he? Like you can tell he's like, but that's what I mean. It's like if you like running, you like lifting. Like I done OCR for a while in 2018, 2019, and then when I started coming across Hyrox, I was like, you don't need to get wet for this, man. This is great. Like I don't need to go on my bike in November to train for a Ironman in like April or something, man. I can go and do this like inside.
I just push on, but no, it'll be interesting to see what he does. There'll be a lot of eyes on him. When
it'll be interesting.
It's interesting to see that he's like buzzing about his training as well. Have you been watching?
Yeah, I've been watching his vlogs. They're great.
So like that's like how much that kind of like just the following that he's got. Like how much did that benefit Hyrox? Him saying that he's going to be doing a Hyrox. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah. Not that they need any influencers try to push the brand, do they?
Yeah.
It's just happening.
Yeah, it's mad, man.
Organically.
Yeah. What do you think about folk now? Like, obviously, like, running's getting trendy in it, man. Like, run clubs and stuff. You heard about Strava jockeying? You heard of that? Folk are paying folk to, like, go on Strava.
Right, to go and run for them.
Go and run for them and get times and stuff. And, like, it's mad, innit?
That's what I've been doing for now.
I wasn't even at the track today.
I know.
I just timed my watch to you, man.
He said his watch down to him.
It's mad, innit?
Anything like that, but that is proper sad stuff, that, innit?
Yeah, it's very, very sad, man.
Why would you do that? Again, it's back to that cheating thing.
To do what? To show people that they're running, or
to show just on the Strava? Yeah, it's just like you can imagine. It is, man. It's see now because like we were talking about earlier, like social media and what people see and stuff. It's so hard and it's so refreshing when someone is honest.
Yeah. Because
so many folk are just not honest now, and there's this innate pressure that I was having this conversation with someone recently. I think it was on the last podcast, and we were just saying like, see, you've obviously got influence, like an influence, like a person of influence, right? Like you could technically say that we are influencers. Do you know what I mean? Like fitness influencers will try to influence people, but like influencer, maybe someone, let's say they work in, they just do fashion, they just get paid. Like, can you imagine every single day having to wake up and just be like a wee showcase pony to deliver the goods so that hopefully someone will give you money for advertising? Can you imagine the extent that you would actually have to go to? Now that's just one part of my life, but see, being really good at coaching, that can just carry me forward. I don't have to be like, oh man, I need to wake up and do a reel that trends the day and it hits home, and then like with that must just trickle into everything else, man. That must just make such a volatile headspace, not for everyone, but like you can imagine you having an off day. See, we were talking about having an off day with training. Imagine having an off day where you wake up and you don't feel inspired to do something. You're not trending. So like it's driving folk to do like just absolute lunacy, man. Like just if they's getting into running, right, I need to be a better runner.
Yeah.
And it's like, go and run, mate. Be cooler to see that you're like all right at it and you're a beginner. But I think being a beginner now is like just underrated.
Yeah.
And folk don't want to be a beginner, they don't want to suck at things. And even folk now, because they're becoming more familiar with training zones and stuff, I've done a few posts on this, but like folk kidding on about their they've got easy run. It's like heart rate 175, like easy 60 out the day, and it's like you nearly blew up, man. But it's like because it's just this ego, and then
I think it's a bit of a joke, isn't it? Like if we put a tasty workup on that's there, and you caption it as zone 2.
Yeah,
and it's like 180 beats a minute. It's just a joke because that's what some people are putting, isn't it? If they're zone 2 run, but
yeah, it's mad, man. But I was having this conversation with guys on Monday's call saying a lot of folk are so scared of judgment now, but how are they playing the game? Are they lying to themselves? Are they lying about the persona that they're pushing? Because if you're always lying about the persona you're pushing, you're always going to feel that judgment because you're probably creating that expectation for yourself. So if you're like, the simplest way to change the world is to change your own, innit? To change your own views, to change your own beliefs and work in them, and like
not care what other people think, really, is it?
Yeah, and that's the reason why so many folk care.
Yeah.
Because they're then playing to that, and then they go, I don't care, and it's like, but what you've just done there shows that you do. The fact that you've hid your heart rate shows that you care, and it's intensifying that worry you have. So do it. Like I talked about this recently to our clients about like the thing from 8 Mile where Eminem always like slates himself in the rap battle, but so that no one can slate him. So when it comes to it, and that Gary Vee done a bit of content in that years ago, and I always remember it. And it's like, because if you're hiding things, that's an insecurity, man. If you can't be honest about what you're not good at, so that's why like I always try to be like, shit, this didn't go to plan, or like this in life and training and business, like, and like
you show the true picture.
You show the true picture, and I don't think enough people are doing that now, man, because you see folk now like training for things, and it's like man, they're making this look easy. It's not. They're in the pain cave all the time, but you show it as that, and it's like creates that belief for folk that it's hard, man.
I think that's social media as a whole nowadays, though, isn't
Yeah.
it? Everyone's putting across this image of that life is perfect when in actual fact everyone's got their own problems.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their own stresses, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you seen the thing before about like what the different platforms host? It's like Facebook, that's your family, that's occasions that you put on there, that's birthdays. Instagram's the cool beach club you went to. Twitter's like, it was like obviously X now, but it's like saying like what all the different spaces are for. But Instagram's definitely became the highlight reel, like quite literally like the highlight reel of like, I mean, you can like, I've worked with folk for years and I know what's happening behind the scenes in folks' lives, and I'll see them put stuff up sometimes or make a reel or something, and I'm like, that's not what you were telling me this week, man. That must be exhausting. That might see that. Then I think that goes back to that point I was saying about the influencer thing. It must be fucking exhausting. Like be difficult because you're like, I need to be this person all the time. There is an element of that you need to step up and be the person. You need to. There's times if I'm a coach and I'm like, I find myself falling into like a victim mindset or whatever, I need to go fucking get out of that.
Just come on.
You need to get out of that because you're not behaving like the person. Doesn't mean you're not allowed to do it, but you need to snap out of it because that's not in line with who you are, what you do. I was saying that to you earlier, like same with your brand and my brand. It's like you need to be like, what are the values of it? Like, what is someone that's always ready? What is someone that's ready for anything? What would they do? How would they deal with that? Are you acting in line with that person? Do you know what I mean? And I think that's definitely like a big one for a lot of folk. They're saying they're this person. Guys love saying they're resilient. It's a big one. They're stubborn. They're not resilient.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
There's
like
a difference between the two, isn't there?
big difference there as well, man. But you enjoyed the podcast today?
Been great. It's good great facility for the job, isn't it? It's been
set up, isn't it?
It's quality, man.
Really good.
Yeah, I keep coming back to this.
Set this up in like half an hour.
I know, it's mad, isn't it? It's good.
You need to come show us how to do it.
I know. I thought you were talking about him there. I was like, it was pretty good what he done there. I know, man. It's my living room. But yeah, no, awesome, guys. But yeah, man, like, thanks very much for coming on. Today's been class. I'm looking forward to this workout after. I need to get some more food done before it, man. Like a fucking bar or something, man. Some energy or something, man, before. But guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Obviously, if you can find the guys, I'll tag their Instagram, their accounts in the show notes and stuff like that as well, man. But hope you enjoyed the episode. As always, please subscribe to the channel. Rate us on Spotify or whatever you're listening to us on. Please rate us on there as well. That'd be really handy. Other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed the episode. See you later. Goodbye.